Yes, that's me. Good morning, Live Nation. Good afternoon, you guys in the East. I think we better change this. Yeah, we're going to do a little segue. It's kind of hard, Kid Rock to Pantera, but we can make it work. We'll do it. This is the song Walk by Pantera. It's courtesy of East West Records. And we have Mr. Fred Zumbo live from the sunny and warm, hot state of Arizona. And we're grateful to have him today. We really are. We're going to talk about this song, and we're going to talk about some other things today with Fred. It's going to be a wonderful interview, and I know if you're a fan of Live PD or a fan of Border Wars or Cops or any of those shows, you're going to love this interview, all right? We're talking to not only a man who knows what he's doing, he was also a captain. He's also done drug cartel work. You name it, he's done it. Fred, we're grateful to have you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning to Live PD.
Hey, and you know, I just want to say that it's a very special week. We got Mother's coming up tomorrow. Happy Mother's Day.
Yep. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, especially to my mom, Joan, out in Las Vegas, and my wife, Susie, here in Arizona.
Happy Mother's Day to both of them. Happy Mother's Day for sure. Yeah, and then, Fred, talk to me here about Pantera. You know, you got Pantera rolling, and I'll be honest, I've had people ask for Elvis. I've had people ask for Johnny Cash, Kid Rock, tons of Pantera. Fred, what's up with that?
Yeah, we're you know, it's, you know, when speaking about things, when we do, usually we have our pump-up music when we go and when we're getting ready to do a search warrant. We usually play a little music on the way there in the TAC van, just to kind of get everybody ready and get them mentally into the game. And, you know, classical music just doesn't cut it. So, Pantera definitely gets things rolling.
A little Tchaikovsky before we go and serve a search warrant, please. That would not work. I would agree with you there. Fred, we are very honored to have you folks. We're on the phone with Fred Zumbo. He is the director of the Arizona Automobile Theft Authority. He is also a retired police captain. He also has been involved with street gangs, drug cartels, border issues. You name it, this man's done it. And truly, you're talking about a guy in the desert Southwest who has a face that's very, very well known. In fact, next week we have Trooper Casey on. At the time, it was Captain. I mean, Captain Zumbo knew him very well. He knew him very, very well. So this is a guy that knew Trooper Casey, and you can ask some nice Trooper Casey questions if you want to today, but, you know, make sure it's nice. Fred, we're looking at a vehicle here. It looks like it's a Ford K9 unit, and it's got a beautiful Arizona map on. And I don't want to talk the whole thing, but I want to describe it because it's so cool. If the people that are watching can't see it very well, it's wonderful. It's got the Arizona map on it, and then it says on it, all gave some, and then below it, a ribbon that says some gave all, and it is filled with names. Tell us about that, would you please?
Yeah, that vehicle belongs to the Phoenix Police Department, and it's you know, since it's the beginning of Police Week this weekend in Washington D.C., where law enforcement gathers to honor the fallen, I was appropriate to share this picture of the wonderful work that Phoenix PD did to honor their fallen officers, and it's just a tribute. And you know, unfortunately, I never really got into this business of law enforcement to bury friends, but you know, I personally know several of those officers who are on the hood of that vehicle, and they will never be forgotten.
Fred, there's too many names there. There just is. I'm counting like 34 names. There's just too many names on that. And I think the one thing that I want to tell you from Live PD Nation, first of all, we're very sorry for the losses there in Arizona, as we are everywhere. But doggone it, you know, this is why we revere you all so much, because you're willing to run in when everybody runs away. Thank you for that. Thank you for your service. Thank you for the time you spent and retiring and then coming back. I mean, Fred, you've You've done an amazing thing. What in the time that you've been working, in Phoenix, 'cause you've done so much down there. I mean, I read your bio. I couldn't possibly put it all on a Twitter page. It was impossible. I could take a picture of it and say, "Hey, everybody, read this," but it's impossible to say because you got so much experience. Could you tell us, maybe what your favorite work has been that you've done since you were in law enforcement?
Well, I was very, very, very lucky and very blessed in my career that I was able to do things that many officers do not get a chance to do in their careers. That's the beauty part about working for a state agency, a law enforcement agency like the Arizona Department of Public Safety, and being an Arizona trooper, because there's so many different things that you can do within the agency. But I would have to say my favorite assignment was approximately in 2006 when I was assigned to do the first illegal immigration apprehension group in Arizona, and we were working with ICE to be cross-designated as immigration officers. We were working on the violent drop houses that were in Phoenix in the late 2008 to probably about 2011.
And so in that time frame, I mean, we all know a lot of course, Live PD, but also Border Wars. So you were working actually with the people that were on that show and doing, being alongside them, the legal work to help make sure that the right things were being done, right?
Absolutely. And one of the things that, and why it's so important for people to see law enforcement in action is because transparency is a good thing in law enforcement. We want people to see the good, and sometimes the things that happen out in the streets are not pretty. It's not clean. But whenever I had the opportunity to partner up with media to show our officers doing good things, and that's how this happened. That's how this connection with Border Wars happened, and they were able to come out and film my team doing the things that they do best, which is arresting bad guys and putting them in jail for long periods of time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, and quite a career you've had as well. I mean, I'm looking at your bio, and I come through things, and I take a look, and I see a badge that totally made me smile. I'll tell you, I wasn't happy with the team that won that Super Bowl, but I was really impressed with this badge. I bet, Fred, I bet there's not a speck of dust on your badge here, is it? There's never a speck of dust on that.
No, that badge is definitely special to me. I was on the planning committee for the Super Bowl when the Super Bowl came into town. I retired just before the Super Bowl, but I was lucky enough to get a badge before I retired, and it's pretty awesome and daunting task to host the Super Bowl. Any folks that have been involved in it will know that it's not only is it a sporting event, but it's also a major gathering place where there's potential for people to come into things, either criminal activity or possibly some sort of an attack, which we hope never happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I saw this, Fred, and I thought, my goodness, if you had a keepsake to hold on to from your 30 years, this has to be, if not at the top, close to it, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. And I also have my original credentials from the first Super Bowl. I believe it was in '96 when
wow.
It was at Sun Devil Stadium.
Yep.
That was a pretty long time ago. It's impressive. But that's kind of the benefits of working in these kind of operations, that you get to do a lot of things that you wouldn't ordinarily, that you wouldn't do.
Yep. And, you were always out in front of the press. It seemed like you were very accessible. I know the people in Phoenix, obviously, in that area, know your face. They know you very well because you were in front of them all the time on television. Got a picture up here. It appears at the border, and this would be close to Phoenix, I'm assuming. We talked briefly about this earlier. Tell us about this photo. I see it looks like a drug sniffing dog there, and you're discussing some things with some fellow officers.
Well, and this picture was taken in San Luis along the border. I was meeting with some CBP officers there, and we were discussing just border security and what they're seeing at the ports. And it definitely was an eye-opening experience. That was taken in about 2006 or 2007 when we had just formed the illegal immigration squad. I was able to basically put together that group from scratch, and a lot of my I would always pick I would be able to handpick my officers to work on my team, and a lot of them were former special forces and SWAT operators, because we knew that our goal was to go after the worst of the worst as far as criminals go. And, I wanted the most competent and trained staff with me when we went in and did these things.
Wow. What was in terms of hiding drugs, from your recollection, Fred, what was the most amazing place you saw drugs being hidden?
I think that some of the techniques that some of these drug smugglers use are pretty amazing. Where they put things. I think the one that really was really impressed me was how a smuggling organization was able to load marijuana into a produce truck, and they brought it, and they had it positioned so perfectly that it was very difficult to see until you got it onto the X-ray equipment, and then it was pretty obvious. But smugglers will do whatever they need to do to move their drugs into the country, even resorting to putting backpacks on the people that are being smuggled through Mexico into the United States, forcing them into carrying 50-pound backpacks basically across the entire route of Mexico to come to the United States. It's pretty depressing, actually.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. I really can't. We're focused on a picture now where you're standing in an area on a dirt road. It says a red sign, travel caution, smuggling and illegal immigration may be encountered in this area. How close is that to the Mexican border, Fred?
That picture was taken, it was approximately the same time that the time frame as the one in San Luis. Probably we're about 200 miles east of Nogales, Arizona, and we're probably about 3 or 4 miles from the border right there. And that is a recreation area where citizens like to go out and do four-wheel and hiking and things like that. And we were out there doing an anti-smuggling patrol. And we came across the signs, and it was the irony of it is pretty obvious.
No kidding. Did you ever catch anyone in that area at all?
No, actually, in that operation, we did not. It's interesting. One of the things when we first came down there, prior to this assignment, I was a gang sergeant in Phoenix, so I worked mainly gangs. I was kind of like what Sergeant Larkin from Tulsa does now. He's a gang sergeant. I was a former gang sergeant in a big city.
Mm-hmm.
I knew nothing. I knew nothing about illegal immigration and things like that. So when the opportunity came to take over this unit, the best way that I thought that we could understand how to combat the problem was to actually go down there and work in the area with the law enforcement agents who work there. And I have an interesting side story on this trip. We went down there and we met with with Border Patrol over at the DeConcini port in Nogales, and I'm looking at these vehicles in their parking lot. They look like they're from a golf driving range. They've got all fencing wrapped around these Tahoes.
Wow!
And I'm looking at it and I asked the Border Patrol agent, why are your vehicles like that? He said, well, when we drive along the border, we get rocks thrown at us.
Oh my goodness!
So,
wow.
So, me being the skeptic that I am, I'm like, it can't be that bad. My partner and I,
Oh, no.
I decided that we need to go down to the fence ourselves.
Oh,
and see
no.
what's back with it.
Oh,
What's
no.
going on there? So I drive my little Chevy Impala up the hill to the fence area. You don't want to get too close because there's sensors all along there. And my partner and I get out. We're looking at the fence, and from the other side, from the Mexican side, you can see the little heads popping up and over. And then the next thing you know, here come the rocks.
Oh,
We
man.
got pelted with rocks. We were far enough away that it was actually humorous, pretty soon here comes the golf course truck down the path.
Wow.
And it was pretty wild. It was definitely a wild experience.
I can imagine.
Especially as we're driving away laughing, going, they were right.
Yeah, they got that one right. Well, you've got such a great, and that's a great story. You have any other great stories that are memorable in your law enforcement career? I see a picture of you here on Fox 10 in Phoenix, and I know you did an awful lot of work there with the media in Phoenix, but any other real cool stories? Because a lot of people here love to hear the stories because, they don't hear those as much outside of Live PD. So this is our opportunity when Live PD is taking a little break between shows to give them some stories.
Absolutely. And we learn from the things that happened in the past. And we certainly, one of the major incidents that I was involved in was in 2002. It was in 2002 that there was a gang shooting in Harris Casino in Laughlin between two rival outlaw motorcycle gangs, and basically what happened. I think there's a picture in there.
Yep.
Of me standing in front of my squad car.
Yep.
And in the background are the casinos.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what had happened was there was we were up there in Bullhead City, Arizona, which is right over across from Laughlin, to monitor the activities of the outlaw motorcycle gangs that were there for the bike run up there in Laughlin. And we had heard that there were tensions between the groups and that there was going to be a problem. We were winding down for the evening. It was about 2 in the morning. It was pretty impressive because all the agencies had begun to leave. CHP had about a caravan of about 40 cars running code down in towards Laughlin. We wonder what's going on. We get the call, the emergency call, that we need to lock down the area because there's a shooting in Harris and there's multiple casualties.
Oh boy!
So we have an agreement with Nevada, a mutual aid agreement. Well, basically they wanted to shut down. We had to shut down all the water taxis going back and forth over the river, the Colorado River, and we also I had to take my troops into Nevada and shut down the major in routes into Nevada. They just wanted Las Vegas Metro wanted Laughlin locked down. So that was pretty intense night. It was definitely an intense night.
Was that an all-night thing, Fred?
Oh yeah, that was definitely an all-nighter. We were there. They were processing that scene for several days.
My goodness.
And it was a multiple homicide scene inside the casino.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. And what's sad is that those things continue to happen. With of course the Vegas shooting last year, and the other shootings that we've had. The school shooting just this year in Florida. I mean, I don't know the answer to the question. I know a lot of people believe they do, but there's obviously there's two sides to that story. Fred, I love the pictures you've sent. First of all, thank you for those because it really chronicles your life and story in law enforcement. One of the things that I've got to ask you, because when I showed the picture of the kiddies, the ladies went nuts, man. They just think you're a really good guy here, Fred. So tell us a little bit about Angel, would you?
Yeah, one of my passions is animal welfare, and I'm a volunteer with the Arizona Humane Society. I usually I work socializing the larger dogs, the bully breeds, and the types that are need the socialization to get them adapted. And I'm a cat lover also, and one of the things that we would do is we fostered kittens, underage kittens, because in Arizona we have a really large feral cat population, and we have abandoned kittens all over the place. So with Angel, she was found wandering the streets of West Phoenix. She was underweight. She was only a pound. She had a terrible eye infection, and she was just really young. So we don't know how she got there, and the animal EMTs rescued her and brought her into there, and I saw her on the website for fostering, and I have to get this poor baby because she just looks so pathetic, sitting in her cage with her eye all swollen shut, and so that's kind of the story with Angel. She came home. She was only supposed to stay with us for a few weeks and gain some weight, and she's still here 3 years later. So I guess we'll keep her.
She's part of the family. You kidding? You've got to keep her now. My goodness, that's really cool. Well, we'll get back to some of those pictures because, Fred, I think they're endearing to people. But I've got a picture. It looks like of maybe an early 80s Ford. The license plate says Ace on it. Tell us about that.
Oh, that one. I wanted to put that one in there. That was one of my first assignments when I got on with UPS. I was out on I-40. That picture was taken between Kingman and Flagstaff, about halfway through. It was a rent for an 18-wheeler, and I just wanted to. I thought it was a really beautiful picture.
Yes.
Just a good view of just how peaceful and quiet it is out there on the interstate, and just the vastness of Arizona. You can see it. The quality's terrible because it's one of those little Polaroids. So
No. It's okay,
it kind
Fred.
of ages it a little bit.
What's interesting is that because you've been there so long, you've seen the extreme explosion in population in that area. I mean, I've never seen a city. Now, back when I was a kid, okay, now I don't want to say how old I am here, but I'll tell you I'm almost 55. I'll be there next month. And our dog is barking in the background because she just does that when people leave the house because my wife just left. So anyway, Fred, so what I'm getting to is back in the 70s, Phoenix and Portland, Oregon were about the same size. Now Phoenix Metro is one of the 10 largest cities in America. It is amazing how fast that area has grown. How did your life change in policing as the population explosion happened in the Valley of the Sun?
Well, that's a great question, Larry, because the things we don't really notice it from day to day as it goes along. It ends up being a number, but when it really gets impressive is when you start to look at the spread of the metropolitan area, and it's almost 70 miles across. It's almost as large as the Los Angeles area. And relatively speaking, I think that what has happened is, crime is very, very, very difficult to measure at times. And I think that what has happened is, with the explosion of growth, I think that we have actually become safer in Arizona because our leaders have the foresight to see these things coming and kind of prepare for them.
Mm-hmm.
So we're prepared for growth. We're always prepared for growth and what's going to happen. And, our biggest problem now in law enforcement, and it's not anything that's not being faced across the country, it's just finding bodies to join the force, so to speak. When I started in the 80s, it was very, very difficult to get on as a law enforcement officer. It was real tough.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's easier, but it's tougher to find the candidates that really want to go through the rigors of the basic training and then all the things that happen on the streets, because it's not pretty, but it's a job, and our dedicated law enforcement people do a wonderful job every day.
What advice would you give to somebody, Fred, who might be thinking of a career in law enforcement?
Well, my advice is I would say do some ride-alongs, do your homework, understand that this is a 24/7, 365 job. If you're looking for a job that's 9 to 5, sitting in an office all day, law enforcement isn't for you. And really, because you will not be successful. One of the things that I always tell folks is that the streets are unforgiving. They are not forgiving. So if you don't have your head in the game every day, when you're out there, when you strap that uniform on, when you get in that car, if you don't have your head on a swivel and you're not on your A game every day, bad things can happen.
Wow. Well said. That's well said, Fred. That really is. And I think we're seeing law enforcement officers now, well, I should say law enforcement offices, looking for people with degrees, especially in law enforcement or in criminal justice. You're seeing a lot of that, or military, ex-military. But one thing I wanted to ask you, we're looking through the photos you've sent. I've got a picture up right now, and I know you've got your computer up, of, I don't know which one is you here, but I need you to point me out. Who are you with here?
Okay, I lost the feed. Give me a little bit of a...
Oh, sure, no problem. I'm so sorry, Fred. Look, I don't ever want that to happen, so let me help you. There's a gentleman that's in an Arizona Department shirt, and a gentleman that's next to him in a nice blue suit with a tie.
I'm going to have to pass on that one, Larry.
Okay, yeah, it's the gentleman. That's okay. The guy with the Arizona State Patrol shirt, he's got some glasses on. Looks like this was taken sometime in the 80s. It's a nice picture of two gentlemen together, both good smilers. I like their toothy grins. They're good. They're very good. So, thank you for sending that. Again, what I like about this is how very well dressed the trooper is. You guys maintain yourselves pretty well. Now we got one that I gotta ask you about, okay? And you're wait a minute.
Found it, Larry, and it's even though it's Mother's Day weekend.
Yes.
That is my graduation picture from the academy, and that is my father next to me. Rest in peace.
You know what?
We're way too soon. But that's my dad there.
We're gonna go back. You know what? We're gonna go back then, because that's too important to miss. Okay, Fred. I don't like to miss, but that stuff, that's too important. So what you're seeing here, folks, is you're seeing Fred on the which in your picture view, as you're seeing, Fred is on the left and his father's on the right, and that is Fred's graduation picture from the academy. Fred, that's a great picture, and what a memory. What a memory, buddy. I'm very thankful for you to share that memory, because I'm sure that your father was extremely proud of his son that day. I mean, so proud. Congratulations on that. That's a keeper right there, and I'm grateful that you thought enough of us to send that to us. Thanks, Fred.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sorry that I had a little technical difficulties there.
Don't worry about it.
No, my dad was a very, very big influence in my life. I miss him every day. He's been gone for 24 years now, and I'm almost at the age right now of the time when he passed. So I'm very aware of his memory, and I wanted to honor him, even though it is Mother's Day weekend.
That's great. I think that's wonderful. Well, and now we've got a picture of some very rare time kicking back in a chair. You've got your black vest on, you got your black police hat on, you got your hands folded behind your head. I'm sure it's been at least a 15-hour day at this point, and you finally got to sit your rear end down. Tell us about this one.
That's that is the follow-up picture to the picture that we took from San Luis in Mexico, right on the Mexican border with the K-9 and the CBP officers. That was at the Yuma DPS office after we were done for the shift.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, just like that, another successful shift, kicking back.
That's good.
Saying that, time to go home and do it all over again the following night.
There's nothing wrong with that, Fred. It's you guys work so darn hard, and what a lot of people don't realize on Live PD is that what we see is only a portion. Those guys, a lot of them will work until 5 or 6 in the morning. So they're saying goodbye to you at midnight, but they're still working another 5 or 6 hours. So, It's not 9 to 5 like you said earlier. It's a long shift. So, Fred, again, thank you for your time doing that and your service. You've got an incredible amount of experience with gang violence, Fred. What are some of the challenges you think are currently facing law enforcement in Arizona regarding gang violence?
Well, I really believe that that gang violence is beginning to increase again, at least in Phoenix area. And I think sometimes, when we're talking about MS-13, we don't have MS-13 here in Arizona. We may have one or two members around, but most of the MS-13 members that cross the border, they usually go to the northeast area. That's where MS-13 has their foothold in Northern Virginia and in Long Island in New York, a few other places. But we have, the Hispanic gangs that actually act as the enforcement arm of the drug cartels here in Arizona. They handle the distribution and the sales of the narcotics on this side of the border for the cartels.
Okay.
And whenever there's money involved, there's potential for violence. And I always tell people if you don't use or sell illegal drugs, if you aren't involved in gang violence, if you're not doing anything criminal, Arizona is a very safe place. If you're a criminal, you're at risk here in Arizona. You're gonna find some bad things here because that's just the way it is.
Sure. No, that makes sense. I think that's true anywhere for the most part, though. I think that we're seeing it. I think you're seeing it much more where you're at because I think it's so close to the border. I think that you get a lot more events there, and man, you guys have a tough job. You think about all the different. I liken it to a bucket that's got holes in it. You've only got so many fingers to plug the holes, and so you need more personnel to plug the holes, and then there's something else comes up, and pretty soon you're running on circles. So, Fred, one of the things I'm impressed with you, and people need to know this in Live Nation. This is a picture I've got up of you right now. We just had the picture from graduation. You're in your jacket and everything, but I've got a picture of you up now in a hockey uniform. Tell us, you're playing hockey? Do you still play?
Oh yeah.
My goodness
I
gracious.
play hockey. I play hockey every week. It's my release. It's my it's definitely my passion. And I play for several law enforcement teams. We go to the tournaments all over the country and play for in support of fallen officers. Our goal for raising money when we play in these tournaments.
Wow.
Families of fallen officers. There's another. I think there's another picture in there.
Yes, there is.
Whether you have it or not.
I do. Yep.
It's a group of people standing together with some jerseys.
I'll do my best to find it here.
See that?
Let me get there to find it, okay? Because there was quite a few photos. I want to make sure that I don't disrespect you here because you're taking so much time to be with us, and I want to do this right. So bear with me here. If I had two things set up, there's your Dunkin' Donuts. Hang on, brother. Give me a second, okay? They're all kind of not in an order here on my computer, and I apologize, okay? But what I liked about that photo was it was a great photo of it was the only one that I remember other than this that was a photo of you was a singular photo of you on the ice with a hockey stick in your hand. Okay, so is that something basically that you all still do that then? You basically still just play hockey and do that with it? Wow, it's amazing. That is so cool. I'm stunned because I think I don't want to ask you how old you are, but I'm thinking how old I am, and I'm thinking I couldn't play hockey. There's no way in God's green earth I could do it. But here you are doing it.
I'm 61.
That is fantastic.
I feel good. I couldn't actually physically go out and do the job anymore on the streets, but I feel pretty good for my age.
Fred, I'm impressed. I really am. You really are an amazing person athletically. That's amazing. Now we're looking at a picture that I desperately wanted to talk to you about. All right, this is a picture of some cargo containers with some full size. Now these are not just minivans, folks. These are like 15 passenger vehicles. So tell us about this picture, Fred, because this is huge.
Yes, this was a case that we did. It was a human smuggling case, and what they were using these vans, and they would load. They would have false advertisement on it, fake companies on the vans, and they would basically transport either whatever the load was, the load du jour, whether it was drugs or whether it was people, and that they would transport them up to the Phoenix area from down in the border. And the idea behind it was that they didn't want to draw any attention to themselves. So they thought that they would blend in. And then we ended up doing a large case. And in fact, it was one of the cases that was featured on Border Wars, where we did a search warrant. And those were in storage units in a business. And the person had no idea that they were using it for that. There were 15 vans in 15 separate storage units.
This just makes me sick. I mean, sick to my stomach and angry, because you're telling me there's human beings that were in those vans inside those containers?
No, not at that time. They were just storing them there. Yeah.
Okay.
At one time, they used them to put people in. Certainly, we would have been really, really upset if we had found people in
Oh
those,
my gosh, yes. I mean,
in those storage containers.
I couldn't imagine.
No.
Okay.
That was just
all right.
that
breathing.
was just their final point there.
I'm breathing again.
The point I was trying to make that criminal activity can occur right under your nose and you don't even know it. That's what we find, and that's why we're talking about engagement. We're talking about the 9 p.m. routine and talking about citizens taking their safety back into their own hands and being alert as to their surroundings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I can't agree with you more there. We talk about the illegal drugs going across the border and everything, and people involved in drug trade. You see it a lot on television, and you actually have lived through that, and you've lived through the growth in that, and it's amazing the different things that they will do to get away. Fred, tell us about your education, if you would. You've been in law enforcement there for 30 years, but what did you do before that?
Well, it's an interesting story. How did a guy from the Northeast end up in Arizona?
He didn't want to shovel his driveway anymore.
Yeah. And I was born and raised in Connecticut. I have roots there, and one of the things that I ended up going to college in the late '80s in Florida, and that's where the Pasco County connection comes in here with Fred Zumbo and Pasco County.
Really?
I actually attended college in Pasco County in a little college called St. Leo University now. It used to be called St. Leo College in Dade City, Florida. And during that time I was down there, I had a lot of exposure to the Pasco County Sheriff's Office, all positive, very, very professional, and very, very good officers with that agency.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
They said, hey, you should think about law enforcement as a career. And I had not even thought about that. I worked on golf courses. That was what I did. I'm an outside guy, worked in golf courses. But, they impressed me so much that, my folks moved to Arizona because they were tired of the Northeast and they were for the weather. And, I visited them out there, and I actually was recruited by the Arizona Highway Patrol. So I left college. I didn't finish college at St. Leo, but I went there. I went to Arizona in the early 80s and applied for different jobs, and it was very difficult to get a job. And so both of the DPS and Phoenix PD, I was in the hiring process for both of them. DPS asked first, and I joined the Highway Patrol. But prior to that, I was a sheriff's deputy, a reserve deputy, in a little small county called Yavapai County in Prescott, Arizona. Mm-hmm. So I kind of got my feet wet there, and once we got through all the different phases of my career, I began to realize the importance of education. So that's when I actually went back to college in 2005, got my bachelor's degree and then finished up with my master's degree, it was one of the things that I consider it one of the biggest failures of my life was not to complete school at St. Leo. So I was able to right a wrong in my past that I did, and the rest, as they say, is history.
What I like about that, Fred, is that, you didn't let your job, your family, your excuses, yada, 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 get in the way of getting your education. And I believe that everybody who has thought about that, meaning, wow, I've got so many responsibilities, I've got a job, I've got a family, I've got this. I hear success stories all the time like yours, and it just tells me, you know what, folks, you can do it. If you put your nose to the grindstone, you can do it. You just have to want it bad enough. And this man, he rose all the way up to captain. Now, that is amazing. Fred, tell us about that feeling when you were promoted to captain.
It was a very, very exciting time in my career because I had worked very hard to be promoted. I had been a sergeant for almost 15 years, and to me, being a sergeant was the best position ever in the agency. First line supervisor, you're still close enough to the ground that you're not too high up in the air. But as I promoted up through the ranks, I wanted to never forget where I came from. My feet needed to always be on the ground.
Bless your heart.
And that's what I've kind of carried that today. Whatever I do, even in my current job, I make sure that the officers on the street today are getting the equipment and the training that they need to do their jobs properly, because it's a difficult job enough as it is to not have the training. And my suggestion to anybody who is thinking about it, any officers out there, any people who are thinking about going back to school and finishing up, education is important, especially in law enforcement. We need to learn the techniques that they teach you in these schools and to better understand the people that we serve.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. I'm going to show the folks something while you were talking about that. I was listening, as the others are as well. There's something that hangs in my home, Fred, that struck me what you just said. I'm going to show it on camera, so bear with me. Hand's going to come around. You're going to see it a little bit here. And that is this sign right here. And it says, when you get there, remember where you came from. That's a lesson that everyone can learn in many situations. Okay, when you get there, remember where you came from, because as I was taught in radio a long time ago, be nice to the people on the way up the ladder because they're going to be there on your way back down. And that goes with any career. I'm telling you, folks, any career, it's the same way. Make sure you're respectful, you're kind, you work hard, you pay your dues, and you don't expect anything out of it. You just wait your turn, and your turn will come if you're doing your job the right way. That's the honest truth. Now, Fred, I'm looking at a picture that anyone who thinks about the police ties one thing into police, and that is donuts. You've got a box of Dunkin' Donuts in your hands here, Fred. What's going on here, dude? You've just beat the stereotype to death.
You know what? It's okay. You know what? It's okay to admit that we have our little vices, and unfortunately, Dunkin' Donuts is one of my vices.
Good for you, man.
I love Dunkin' Donuts.
What's your favorite one?
Jelly.
Jelly? Okay,
I'm old school.
I'm the chocolate-filled guy. I'm the chocolate-filled guy. That's great. Oh, I love this picture. When I saw it, I thought, oh, we got to show this picture of him. This is awesome. They did that. That's really cool. And that's our tree.
There's only one. There's an additional little twist to that picture. That picture actually, that's seized evidence. I didn't open up the donut box, but actually that donut box was filled with marijuana. We took that out of a car.
Oh man!
And
really?
They wouldn't think that a cop would look in the donut
box. That's awesome, Fred. That is awesome. Oh my gosh! So that was completely filled with pot?
Yep.
Wow. Boy, oh man. I'm so sorry. That's funny, actually. It's like, oh, they'll never look in here. They're cops. Oh, boy. Hey, I know we got people that probably would like to call and talk to you. You have some time to talk to some folks?
Absolutely.
Good. Folks, the phone number 503-420-4062. That's 503-420-4062. You can be live with Fred Zumbo. He'd love to talk with you. He is the director of the Arizona Automobile Theft Authority, all the way down in sunny and hot Phoenix. But you say it's a little cooler this weekend. Are you down in the 90s or the 80s?
I think we'll be in the 80s today, which sure beat the. I believe we hit 108 earlier in the week. It was, people say it's a dry heat. It's actually like opening up your oven and sticking your head in it when you walk outside.
It's a dry heat until the monsoon season, that's for sure. Oh, my goodness gracious, man. Again, folks, if you'd like to talk, the phone number is 503-420-4062. All right, Fred Zumbo from the Automobile Authority, Theft Authority, I should say, of Phoenix, of Arizona. Fred, quick question. I'm going to get a picture of you up here because I want to ask you this question. It's kind of cool. There is a picture of you here that is by a canine memorial. Now, I love this photo, and I know most people in Live PD Nation will as well, because you guys have a memorial to law enforcement canines. How cool is that?
That is like the ultimate in cool. And not only that, the memorial is located right next to the Fallen Officers Memorial. So not only are we honoring our fallen officers, but we're also honoring our fallen canines too in the same area. And that picture actually was a pretty special picture for me because that was actually my last day at work. I drove the car to the office after that and turned it in, and I was done. So that was my last picture as an Arizona DPS trooper right there in front of the canine memorial. I wanted to honor our fallen furry friends.
That is so cool, Fred. That is really cool, and I'm proud of you. Quick question: we had Corporal Cragmile on 2 weeks ago from Greene County, Missouri, and one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet, by the way. Cool guy. He's a canine handler, and he said in the state of Missouri, if you attack, assault, or kill one of the canines, it's not like you're attacking a police officer. Is it the same in Arizona?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a reason for it. And one of the things that it's difficult to when we use canines in a way are considered a tool, although they are more than that. They are our companions. They are everything. But a lot of times when canines are put in situations where there's a threat to the officers, where the officers don't want to go in there, they want to send the canine in first to clear a suspect out and to make sure that the suspect is not in danger.
Okay.
The dog is not, the dog doesn't have human intelligence. The dog doesn't know what danger is and can't think for itself. So realistically, the dog is going to do what it's trained to do. And a lot of times, a canine will get injured or killed doing their job. It's not the same as a human in a way. Are you kind of following me on that?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's too bad though.
But we have laws. We have laws in Arizona that protect police dogs. A service. I mean, it is a felony to assault a police dog in Arizona.
Well, it's just good to hear.
If you just will not be charged with homicide, so to speak.
Gotcha.
But
well,
you will be charged with a felony if you injure a police service dog.
As it should be. I think as it should be for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Fred, now
absolutely.
Now you came back to be the executive director here of the Arizona Automobile Theft Authority after retiring as captain. Why? Well, I mean, what was the thing? Did you just? I mean, you've already retired. Tell us about what brought you back.
I have a passion to serve, and I believe believe in servant leadership. I am here for the people. The people pay my salary. The people expect a certain level of expertise and knowledge coming into these positions. Came into this the Auto Theft Authority wanting to get money and equipment and training out to the officers because I have a passion for doing things right and getting the resources to the people that need them.
Wow. What now, since you're now with the Arizona Automobile Theft Authority, can you tell us where the common mistakes people make with their vehicles that easily help them to be vandalized or stolen?
Well, I think, we're seeing some things here in Arizona that it's a nationwide trend. What we're finding is that people are a little complacent about things, especially if you get lulled into a false sense of security. You live in a safe neighborhood. There's not a lot of crime. You want to be trusting of people. You want to be able to not lock up your things. But unfortunately, we don't live in that kind of a world anymore. The thing that's really disturbing me about the current trends about people not securing their valuables are that they are leaving weapons in vehicles that are parked in driveways, and they're not doing the things that a responsible gun owner will do, and that's to know at all times where that weapon is. If you don't know at all times where your weapons are, you're not a responsible gun owner.
Agreed, 100%. My goodness, that's crazy. Well, after all these years, Fred, because you've got a passion for this, is your passion to serve the public what keeps you going? I mean, you retired, you came back, you're not just coming back as just a worker, you're a director. You've got a lot of responsibilities. What still drives you to do this?
It's for the officers. It's for the guys we see out there, the ladies and gentlemen of law enforcement that are out there every week, every day, doing these things. And I feel the obligation. Now, when we're talking about things, one of the things that my agency funds for law enforcement are license plate readers. License plate readers are the best tool for detecting and recovering stolen vehicles. I believe that a license plate reader should be standard equipment in every patrol car, and that is my goal: is to get a license plate reader in every patrol car in the state of Arizona.
Tell us about a license plate reader.
License plate readers you'll see them. They're just basically cameras. You'll see them. They'll either be mounted on the push bumper, they'll be mounted on the light bar, they'll be mounted on the trunk, and basically what they're doing is they're scanning license plates, and they're just gathering information behind the scenes. The old school way would be you would call the license plate into a dispatcher. Dispatch would run it, and then you'd get the results back. Well, the equipment now, the technology, can scan thousands of license plates in a matter of seconds. It's amazing technology, and it's law enforcement only. The information is secure. It's behind proper firewalls, so your information is safe. But it gives law enforcement the ability to detect stolen vehicles.
That's great. Wow, it's amazing how technology has come far, isn't it, Fred? Isn't it something? I mean, I remember watching.
When I first started in law enforcement in 1984, we didn't even have portable radios. Now, a portable radio is considered critical officer safety equipment.
Yep.
We're at that point now. When you look at these patrol cars and you look at the interiors of them, all the technology that's in there and distractions. Officers have to worry about a lot of things. They shouldn't have to worry about running license plates and worrying about things like that.
Nope, that's true. That's true. There's a lot of other things they do have to do now. I still remember Adam 12. I still remember the hot sheet right there below the radio with license plate numbers. And it's amazing because you had to look for them. They had to manually look for those things. To have an automatic device that does that is wonderful. Good luck in that. Now, are you doing fundraising for that, or is that something that are you?
No, we.
Is it budgeted?
Let me kind of just explain how our funding comes. We are actually we're a state agency. We're a state of Arizona agency, a criminal justice support agency. We get $1 fee on every insurance policy that's written in the state of Arizona for passenger vehicles. $1 out of that policy a year comes to us for auto theft prevention programs for law enforcement.
Fantastic.
So we gather in approximately $6.2 million a year in revenue, and we push that right back out to law enforcement. And we pay for the Arizona Automobile Theft Task Force, where it's run by the Arizona State Troopers. We have 30 highly trained detectives that go out and do investigations. And in fact, they were featured players on PD a few years ago. You'll see it occasionally. You'll see the task force out there on some of the old reruns, and that group, we fund that group.
Gotcha. Okay.
We pay the officers' salaries and their equipment, their vehicles. We pay for everything for them.
Okay, yeah, we've seen those on live PD for sure in the background, no question. Because I remember seeing the vehicles in the background of your Twitter page. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. Fred, you know what? We ask this of every law enforcement professional, whether they're on live PD or not. So now, my friend, buddy, you're part of the family. Okay, you're now in live PD Nation. You are for sure a member now. So you got to be asked this question. Okay, this comes from Lieutenant Dan's Crazy Crew in Dallas, Oregon. Her question: if you could be able to meet anybody, living or dead, who would it be and why?
That's easy. It'd be Gandhi. Because I would really like to talk to him and really get some insight on just his views on life. And I think that it would be very interesting.
Wow, that's pretty cool. We're with Fred Zumbo, the director of the Arizona Automobile Theft Authority. Fred, just a couple more questions, folks. If you would like to call in and talk to Fred, the phone number is open for you. It is 503-420-4062. That's 503-420-4062. All right. Now, Fred, you've spoken on National Public Radio about law enforcement issues. Could you talk a little bit about that, what you did?
Yeah. When we were doing our illegal immigration enforcement, we started off. We were one of the few agencies that had task force cross designation with ICE. So we were immigration enforcement officers. In fact, I think I sent a picture of my credentials from that time in 2009. It definitely.
We found the hockey picture. Okay. And we've got the kitty cat picture there. That's good. I'm looking. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm checking. You just keep talking. It's okay.
It's one of those things that we've worked on. We've worked on the reducing the violence, and the biggest thing that people wanted to hear on NPR was what we were doing to combat violence in Phoenix. Because if you look back 10 years ago, we had a lot of things going on in Arizona. We had the controversial Senate Bill 1070, which basically they mirrored a lot of the federal laws to be able to allow state officers to enforce immigration. We were having a terrible drop house problem in Phoenix. We were getting multiple calls every day, and there were violence. There was kidnappings. It was just the streets of violence. The streets of Phoenix were raining blood. Actually, we would get phone calls. We would get 911 calls of naked people running down the street bloody because they were breaking out of these drop houses and just trying to escape. So what NPR was, they were talking about, border cartel violence, unaccompanied minors being traveled through Mexico to get to the United States. So that was basically where, my area of expertise was smuggling routes through Mexico, and so that was what I would add to the, and they would have me on with several other subject matter experts on southwestern border violence in the border states.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks, Fred. Now, there's a picture we have online right now. We're with Fred Zumbo from the Arizona Automobile Theft Authority. It looks like you're buddies with a big old dog here. Looks like a big old pooch. Tell us about that.
That's Humane Eddie from the Arizona Humane Society, the mascot, and we were doing an adoption event that day, and we were able to adopt out a bunch of rescue dogs to their new forever homes.
That's great, Fred. I love that. I really do. We've got 2 dogs and a cat, and we love them. They're part of our family. You have a passion for pets, and you can tell you do based on, of course, Angel and the things that how you've got her. Now, was that one of those things you had to bring? Make sure you kind of got it by Mrs. Zumbo before you brought Kitty home to stay, or is that something Kitty just kind of wormed its way into Mama's heart?
Actually, she was the one that suggested we keep her. So she did. She worked her hard.
That's great. But
Angel's not the only one. We have another rescue, and then we have a third cat that we actually was a feral mama cat had kittens in our attic, so we kept one of those kittens too. So
wow, that's great.
We're a cat family.
Good for you, buddy. Good for you. Well, we're looking at a logo now that looks like the Arizona Automobile Theft Authority. It's a car that's got the wheels on it, but there's eyeballs out looking the backside. Great logo. Did you have anything to do with that, or is that something that someone came up with for you?
That logo's been around for a few years since the inception of the agency back in the 90s. We call the logo Kilroy. Kind of got the little. If you look at it, you got the eyes on the wheels, and then the hat is the car shape. And basically, what that is, that's a program that we run through our agency. It's called Watch Your Car, and what the gist of the program is that you sign up for a program that gets. Your license plate gets entered in the MVD database that shows that you're enrolled in this program, and it allows law enforcement in Arizona to stop that vehicle if that vehicle is out between the hours of 1 a.m. and 5 a.m.
Gotcha.
The owners of these vehicles that put these stickers on are saying it's okay for law enforcement to stop them at between 1 and 5 a.m. And I think it's within 10 miles of the international border. And you can stop them at any time.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
It's a theft deterrent device. So when an officer runs that license plate, and it'll come up and they'll say that this car is registered in that program, and you can stop it for no reason.
That's great stuff. That really is. That's forward thinking. I like that, Fred. That's fantastic. We've only got
and the funny thing, I have a funny story to go along with it. We had a gal from Sun City call up, and she wanted to enroll in the program because she was tired of having her grandson take her car out and drive it around all hours of the night.
Oh
she
no!
Put that sticker on there and ended that little problem.
I bet. Very quickly as well, my friend. Very quickly as well. Now,
Yes,
Fred,
sir.
just a couple more minutes left here for us. What would you like to make sure that the fine people in Live PD Nation know from your heart?
I want to thank the people of the Live PD Nation because and we talked about this earlier, Larry, this is a phenomenon that's sweeping the country right now, where people want to take responsibility for protecting their stuff. Their hard-earned money was spent for these items. They want to take care of it and protect it because we know that law enforcement can't be everywhere. A lot of times we're very busy. We're responding to calls. We don't have time to do the patrols like we used to in the neighborhoods and things like that because of manpower shortages. What I want to pass on to the Live PD Nation is to keep up the great work because this is something you all are on the ground floor of something. I've been in law enforcement for over 33 years and I'm seeing it. media aspect of it is fantastic, and keep up the good work.
Fred Zumbo, the director of the Arizona Automobile Theft Authority, the former captain at the Arizona Department of Safety, the former Border Patrol, the former drug cartel. The list just goes on and on. And Fred, I want to thank you from me personally for getting a hold of me about this, because I wouldn't have known. And you were kind of to say, hey, you know, there's some things I might want to tell people. Is there anything else you want to share? Because you were kind of to reach out to me, and I just want to make sure that you get that platform.
Oh, I appreciate everything that everybody does to keep our neighborhood safe, and it's once again though, this is a very solemn week. You're going to see a lot of film footage from Washington D.C. You know, my friends are on that wall in Washington D.C. So honor them by supporting law enforcement, and for our law enforcement friends out there who are listening, please stay safe out there. It's a very dangerous job, and we're praying for you.
Fred Zumbo from the Arizona Department, the Arizona Automobile. Sorry, I'm looking at a picture of James Casey here. Arizona Automobile Theft Authority. Before we let you scoot away here, I got to ask you, do you know, are there, because Trooper Casey's coming on next weekend with us, is there any dirt you can dish for us? Anything you can dish?
I will not steal his thunder. I would never do that to Jimmy Casey. He's a good man. He's been through a lot. I know the areas that, when you folks see the areas where Trooper Casey, Trooper Poole patrol, that was my turf in the mid-'90s, and it hasn't changed. It's a very dangerous area. There's a lot of bad things that happened. The place where Trooper Casey was shot was well known. It's a well-known place where the criminals hang out, and I'm just glad he's here with us. And you know, it's just I just want to pat him on the back. I have so much respect for the man, and he's my hero.
And that happened right after you retired too. So you that must have been so hard for you, because you knew him, and then you heard about the shooting, of course, and what happened. And I can't imagine being in your position at that time. That must have been so difficult for you. I mean, obviously difficult for him, no question, but for you especially, because you had such feelings for him.
Absolutely. It's and the thing with that, once that happened, once Trooper Casey was injured, and the suspect description went out, and then after they were actually arrested, and I saw the vehicle, I had recognized that vehicle from when I was on patrol, several months earlier. I saw that vehicle around. It was distinctive because it was just unusual. I believe it had Kansas plates on it, and it just stuck out as being not right. So it doesn't surprise me that Trooper Casey got involved in that. He has a knack for the wacky, so to speak.
Yeah, he is quite the man. I'll never forget the taser where the guy tried to go over the fence. That was a well-placed shot for sure. He just got the guy. Wow.
Kind of brought back memories of the good old days. It used to be that area where that happened. That's all really built up now with HOV lanes. That used to be just a median with orange trees in it and overhead signs, and we would have all kinds of crazy stuff going on that area.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. Well, I'll tell you, Fred Zumbo, it has been an honor and a privilege and a blessing to have you on today, I should say. We are very, very grateful, and I want to thank you personally again for reaching out for me. Fred, thank you for your time. Fred Zumbo from the Arizona Automobile Theft Authority. Next week, we will have Trooper James Casey from the Arizona Department of Safety. He will join us live at 1 p.m. East. Live PD Nation, say your prayers. Our brave men, women, and canines go out tonight, not only in Live PD Nation, but across the country. Please keep them in your prayers, and please treat them respectfully if you're pulled over, because, you know, when the time comes when you're in trouble, I mean serious trouble, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to call for a cop. Think about that. We'll talk to you next week with James Casey, everybody. Have a great week. God bless you.